Peichesamid Beis, Nisoris Shel Charoshim Daka, right? The carpenters, after they saw the planks of wood, they get the sawdust. And again, it's very fine. It's the dust, that's why we call it sawdust, but it's not offer. Sid v'charsis, lime and clay. Again, this is a special kind of clay that's used by potters, and it's very fine. Levena umagufa shektasham. Again, all these kinds of materials that you ground and you made them into a dust. Like, for example, you took a brick, or remember we said that they used to cover the cask with earthenware, and you took that earthenware and you crushed it. Why is that offer? How could the Mishnah qualify that for the mitzvah of Kisei Adam? Talmud Lomer v'kisahu. Now, why is the word v'kisahu? It says v'shafach hasdama v'kisahu be'ofar. Why is that a ribui? So again, for this, we're going to have to learn, which is coming around the bend in the Gemara, the halachas of klal uprat, how you darshan a klal uprat. But suffice it to say that the word v'kisahu, which comes right before the word be'ofar, is a klal. It's like a ribui. It's all inclusive. And it goes beyond offer. And then when it says offer, we're going to have to figure out what substances can become like offer. They're not really offer, and therefore I need the ribui of a kisahu, but I can crush them in such a way that they become dust. And they're like offer, even though according to physics, it's not offer. If you have this ribui, maybe it's coming to include anything that you want to use to cover the dam, right? Even something that really needs a lot of grinding work. Or maybe I could even go a step further. Maybe I could take that spoon that I mentioned before that's on my Shabbos table, and I could crush it and make it into dust. And even though it's a metallic substance, it's certainly as far from offer as you can get, but nevertheless, I made it into dust. Maybe that's included in Vikiso. What about a whole brick? Maybe that also could be included on the Vikiso. You could cover something with a brick. V'kemach, v'subin, umursun, flour, coarse flour, bran. Maybe I could use anything. Talmud lomar be'ofar. So you got the klal of v'kiso, then you have the prat of ba'ofar, and now we have to figure out, so what's not ofar, but it's like ofar, and it could be included on v'kiso, but what is so far removed from ofar that you can't include it on the v'kiso? Mara Isol Rabbas Elu, what's your criterion? Achar Shariba Kosavu Mid, Marbanias Elu Min Ofar, Motsianias Elu Min Ofar. I need something that's called a Min Ofar. What is Ofar? By its very essence, Ofar is some, in terms of its function, I'm not talking in terms of its molecular structure, but Ofar is something that you planted. That's why the Gemara says in Gittin that if you take offer from Eretz Yisrael and you could plant it in Chutz La'aretz, the question is whether those plants have trumas and maisros. Well, for example, the other way around, you took offer from Chicago and you planted it in Eretz Yisrael, whether the produce from that offer, but everything depends upon offer. And what is offer? Offer is something that you can plant in and it produces vegetation, plants. Now the Gemara goes into the details of how we darshan. Ema, maybe we could say v'kiso klal offer prat and klal uprat ein beklal masha beprat offer in midiachrini no. Why don't we apply the general methodological principle that when you have a klal and then a prat, the prat is coming to limit the klal, and ein bichlal masha befrat, and the frat is awful. I just want to add a little footnote of my own here that when we say ein bichlal el masha befrat, we're talking about a case where the klal can be understood in the flow of words, meaning it's not a superfluous word. If it's a superfluous word, then we have to know that it's adding something to the prat. But if it's just vikiso ba'ofar, so you need the word vikiso, and then offer comes to tell you what constitutes vikiso. Ein b'klal mash b'frat. And now we're in deep trouble because then we can't go beyond the confines of offer, and you can't use anything else but offer. And all these cases that we mentioned before about fine dung and you took a piece of pottery and you crushed it and ground it, and all the other cases have to be excluded. Omar Rav Mari. Mishum davi klal hatzorch leprat v'kol haklal hatzorch lefrat ein dono so b'klal leprat. The Gemara says that we are not going to apply the principle of klal uprat, which means ein b'klal lefrat. And why is that? Because you only apply klal uprat when the klal stands on its own. But if the klal is totally unintelligible, and you have no logical way of understanding the klal, so that's called a klal hatzarech leprat. And in the case of a klal hatzarech leprat, then you apply the principle that the klal is coming to expand the prat is coming to limit the klal, and it's kind of like a symbiotic relationship, and we extend beyond the prat, but to anything that's similar to the prat. So we're going beyond the offer, but anything that's similar to the offer. And what's the basic propensity of offer? It's the ability to plant, and therefore anything that we can plant. Okay, now the Gemara is going to say that nothing is simple. When you say that something could sprout from this substance, there are two different levels. It's like a flow chart. We start with those materials that you can't plant at all. Those are excluded. Then you have materials that you can plant in, but then we're going to further qualify that, and we're going to break down that you could plant into two different kinds of planting. Darash Rav Nachman bar Chizkiah, ein mechasel v'dover shezorim bo umatzliach. Okay, so let's talk for a minute. Rashi mentions desert sand. Okay, you can plant in desert sand because there are some plants that grow in the desert. And even if you try to transplant into the sand of the desert some mature plants, occasionally you might succeed and get something that could survive. Rav Nachman is telling us, no, that's not similar to offer. That didn't cross the boundary. The substance has to be one in which planted seeds will sprout. And although in the case of desert sand, you can plant and sustain some limited growth, but it's not going to sprout. So again, I don't know the physics of it, but there are different levels of planting and producing, and there's a level called, basic, what does he call it? Something that will survive, sustain some growth, and then there's something that will sprout. And that's what you need. Oh, my Rava. So Rava gets very upset about this, calls it a bunch of hogwash, so to speak. Hi, Burcha. Burcha means, did you ever hear the phrase castles in the sky? I mean, it doesn't stand on anything. So, when I read Rava's very stark sentence against Rav Nachman, I thought, that's it. Rav Nachman is out, TKO. No, no, no. The Gemara is going to resurrect Rav Nachman from the dead, but not with Rav Nachman himself defending himself, but another person whose name was also Rav Nachman, but he was Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak. And he said, "Ma Bruchuse, why, Rav, are you accusing this ruling of being unfounded? Anam Risa Nila. I myself taught this. And not only that, where did I come to this conclusion? From whence did I derive? Mihamas Nisan Amrisa Nila. I'm going to quote to you the Mishnah or the Brisa, and you'll see clearly from this Brisa that Rav Nachman was right. A man is traveling through the desert, and he shechts an animal. And that's all he has really to eat is an animal. So makes himself a little barbecue there in the desert. He ain't low offer. He can't find any earth. Is shochek dinar zav umachasa. He could take a gold coin and convert it into dust. Shochek means, with aggressive grinding, he can make it into gold dust. Rabbi say, can you sell gold dust on the market? Is it worth anything? I don't know. Yeah, what do they make? What do you make out of it? I don't know. You make some sort of jewelry. I don't know what. But in any event, what can you plant in gold dust? Garnish mit garnish. He has an extra garment. He burns it. He converts it into afer, into ashes, and he uses that ashes to cover the blood. I don't know if you could plant anything in those ashes. I don't think so, but certainly not in gold dust. So Gemara says the following, you know what? Maybe if you burn a garment, you can plant something in the ashes. You know what? I'm going to quote scriptures, and I'm going to prove to you that in the Torah, afer is considered offer. And where do we see this? We didn't get to it yet, but the Gemara is going to have a whole Agadah about this. That the Torah says in the parsha of Chatos, it says there, "V'lokchu l'tomei me'afar sreifas hapara." El dina zov minolan. How do you know that a dina zov could qualify as offer? Okay, afer could be offer. Rab Zera v'afros zov lo. We have a pasuk in Eov that gold dust is called offer. The Achronim have a kasha because there's a pasuk in Chumash that calls gold offer in the parsha of the Egel, because I think we'll read it next Shabbos. It says there, Ad asher dak li offer. Right? They took the golden calf and they ground it, and they made it into offer. On a Rabbana, we learned in the Brisa, Ein mechasin el biyofar, divrei Beit Shammai. So Beit Shammai hold that taka, you need something that, that's really offer. Afer, for example, is not really offer. Beis Hill omrim, matzinu Afer shikari offer, shenemar v'lokchu latome me'afar sreifas hapara. So this, I said this was a carbon chatos. It's not a carbon chatos. This is a paradum which is called mei chatos. And they took the ashes from the burnt paraduma and they used it for being matire through hazoya, the tummy mess. In any event, the pasuk calls it offer. So now we're stuck with Beit Shammai. I mean, Beit Shammai is also bound by the Torah, and if the Torah calls if the Torah calls afer, meaning when you burn the paraduma, you're left with ashes, and the Torah calls those ashes offer. So Beit Shammai say offer sreifa, afar sreifa. There's an extra adjective here. The Torah is not calling it offer. The Torah is calling it offer sreifa. I mean, offer stumble. It's not really offer. The Torah is only using it as like a literary kind of way of communicating and transmitting that this afer is like offer. And we'll see why. Tana, we learned in the Brisa, Hosifu Aleim. The Brisa wants to add other materials that could be used for Kisei Adam. Hashachar, Vakachol, V'nikras, Pisulin, V'yesh Omrim Af Hazarnich. So talking about grinding up charcoal or something called kohl, Kohl, a cosmetic powder that's made from antimony, and it was used to darken the islands, scrapings of millstones, dust that's removed from the millstone when it's clean, and some say even orpiment. What's orpiment? Again, a yellow powder that's derived from arsenic, and it's used as a pigment. So again, this brisa is, once again, teaching us that there are many other substances that are not offer technically, but when you grind them, apparently they can somehow be similar to offer. I don't know. I don't know all the physics of it. He doesn't give you any. Omar Rava. Okay, so now we want to understand, why does the Torah call the afer offer? I mean, afer is ashes. It's not offer. V'schar shomer Avraham Avinu Anochi offer va'efer zachu bana v'shtei mitzvos efer paravi la'afar sota. Now, we have two mitzvahs that give us great benefit. One is the paraduma, that a tummy mess, if not for the paraduma and its ashes, the efer apar, he would never be able to eat kodshim or go into the mikdash. And we have the offer of a sota, because if she was innocent, then after we made this whole concoction with the offer and she drank it and she survived it, that's a sign that she was innocent, and the marriage can resume. And Avraham Avinu said about himself in an expression of eloquent humility, Anochi Afar Va'efer. So the descendants of Avraham Avinu will now be rewarded with these two great benefits. One is the Afer of the Para, and the other is the Afar of the Sot. In fact, the Gemara of a Lichshov Nami Afar Kisi Adam. What about the mitzvah Kisi Adam? If we are rewarded because of Avraham saying Anochi Afar, then what about the offer of Kisi Adam? We got the mitzvah Kisi Adam, Hasam Hechsher Mitzvah Ika, Hano Leka. You're right that you could be Mekayim the great mitzvah of kisi adam with offer, but it doesn't really benefit you. So what kind of reward is that for the descendants of Avram, even if they don't get any benefit? But from the afar of Sota and the Efer Paraduma, they get benefit. The Omar Rav V'Schasha Omar Avram Avinu, with this will conclude. In Michut ad Sroch now, when the Melech Stone came out to greet him, Zachu Bonov l'shtei mitzvos chut shel tcheles u'ritzua shel tefillin. Okay, ritzua shel tefillin is a great benefit. Why? Kisiv v'ro kol amei haaretz ki shem Hashem nikra olecha, and then it says, what's the end of the pasuk? V'yiru mimeka, I think it says. Just 1 second. Yeah, v'yiru mimeka. For Tanya, Rav Elazar Gadol Omer Elu Tefillin Shabarosh. Oh, you have to know why the fear is from the Tefillin Shabarosh, not Tefillin Shabarosh. Chut Shel Tcheles Maihi. What benefit do we get from Chut Shel Tcheles? And the answer is that Chut Shel Tcheles will bring us to perform all the mitzvahs. It has a very spiritual benefit. And the Gemara is going to explain why. Okay, then Rabbosai, this is where we'll stop for today. On Daf Peites. And tomorrow, regular time, correct? Okay. Have a great day.